Norman is a completely new character for me. I'm really excited to introduce him to the world.
Ryan Higgins' latest book is Norman Didn't Do It. Yes, he did.
Norman is a porcupine, and Norman's best friend is Mildred the tree.
Where did the idea for Norman come from?
The idea started off as a very different book. It was about a beaver whose best friend was a stick, but I couldn't really figure out where that story was going. So I changed it up a little bit and made it into a porcupine and a tree. So Norman loves his life. He's happy with the way things are. Just Norman and Mildred and Norman, and only the two of them.
When another tree starts to grow nearby Mildred, paranoia sets in for Norman, something Higgins is well acquainted with.
When I was a kid, my best friend Dan had this other friend, Luke. When I found out about Luke, it sort of changed my perspective on what my friendship with Dan meant. And so I took some of that and injected it into this story.
From the converted shed in the backyard of his Maine home, Higgins puts his imagination on the page.
Calvin and Hobbes is a huge influence on me. I also grew up when Seinfeld was on TV, and that's a huge influence on me. I love the humor and the deadpan humor and the weird situations everyone gets into.
Drawing inspiration, sometimes from unlikely places.
Norman has, lots of emotions, and he also has these urges that he acts on that he later learned to regret. And so I drew some inspiration from Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart, which, you don't really think of that as like a great thing to put in a picture book for kids, but I was able to take some moments and have some fun with them from there. I wanted to have a juxtaposition of kind of a deadpan narrator and this like out of the world, sort of like crazy, kind of ridiculous story going on. In my mind, the narrator is like Ron Howard. Like I picture Ron Howard's voice saying what's happening while Norman is just going off the rails.
Higgins has another new book out in his Bruce series called Thanks for Nothing.
It all started with the title. My publisher said, would you like to make a Thanksgiving book? And I said, thanks for nothing. We started with the title first, and then we worked from there. The book itself is about everyone in Bruce's neighborhood being thankful for the changing seasons, the bountiful food, friendships, family. They're all thankful for that stuff. But because it's a Bruce book and Bruce is grumpy, Bruce isn't that thankful for those things.
You have the Norman universe, you have the Bruce universe. In both, there's no people. Why is that?
I like to keep these universes, not perfect, but closer to perfect. And, while I like individual people, I'm not that big of a fan of just, people in general. Also, it's more fun for me to draw animals. I like working with them more. Just because when you draw animals doing human-like things, it adds a little bit of humor to them. Also, I think that kids find animals more relatable. I think with the animals, I can draw them in a more stylistic way that lets me add lots of exaggerations to their expressions.
Part of Higgins' art is not taking himself too seriously.
I just spend a lot of time in my studio looking ridiculous at a mirror and drawing myself. Sometimes it's embarrassing if someone pops in to like get to say hi or to grab a copy of one of my books and I'm here pulling weird faces and drawing pictures. But really, it's just spending a lot of time looking at my own face and drawing it.
While Higgins may pour himself into every face in his books, one thing he doesn't worry much about are his readers.
I don't think about my audience that much when I'm writing. It's really just what I think is funny. And what it boils down to is I'm more or less just a fourth grader trapped in a 37-year-old body. So when I think stuff's funny, most kids think it's funny. And, at the end of the day, funny is funny. If it's a really good joke, kids will get it and grown-ups will get it. And so I try to put those sorts of jokes in my books. And as long as I'm laughing while I'm drawing and writing, then I'm having a good time. I love my job, and hopefully people enjoy coming along for the ride.
Can you inherit a sense of humor and love for reading?
I think a lot of my sense of humor and storytelling comes from two places. My mom she would let me buy whatever books I wanted in the bookstore. So I had this love of books from her. And my dad is an incredible storyteller. So when we were younger, my brother and I would ask my dad to read us books. And what he would wind up doing is he would just show us the pictures. And then he would make up his own stories. And he's such a great storyteller that his stories were better than the books. And so I had that influence on me as a kid. And I think that those sort of things coupled together to make me want to grow up, to make my own stories and draw my pictures to go with them.